Ish! Kami desu! Welcome to Slimewave, the only slime-based podcast where you can enjoy slimes, and more slimes. I'm your host, Kami, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Valentine. Welcome in, so good to have you. Today we have a very special guest in the studio. That's like a funny slime pun to say guest. I don't know, it doesn't really work out. But hey, we're joined by somebody in the studio today. They're another slime, and of course, in Slimewave fashion, we have to know everything about you. Introduce yourself to our lovely audience waiting for you here at the home.
Well, hello there, lovely audience looking from home. My name is Rubicon. I am the head of research and development for Opticos Industries. A dear friend of Rory. A shame she couldn't make it. I'm here to have fun on Slimewave.
Yeah, Miss Rory had slime rot, so she's suffering from the spring's allergies.
It's always a pain when you have to deal with that.
Oh, we have a guest in the studio parts. Is there something you need?
Closing up soon.
Huh?
Just letting you know we're gonna be closing up soon.
Oh yeah, we're doing it. We're doing podcast stuff.
I saw.
So we'll probably be here after we close parts. But this is a good opportunity to say that we're recording live from the heart of Lower Zephyra, down in the Nine Heavens, which is sort of like our preferred new recording studio these days.
Mm-hmm.
We've just got a very special booth that's just like curled up here. So, but yes, let's dive right into it. Mr. Rubicon, how did you come to hear about Slimewave?
As I mentioned before, I'm a good friend of Rory, so through the grapevine, it was eventually a matter of time until it dripped down into my little ears.
It's a great place to be, honestly. You know, we've been putting a lot of effort into trying to do outreach to all the slimes of the metaverse. It's our genuine hopes and dreams to have every single metaversal slime here in the studio so we can learn all about you. Right away, I'm noticing just straight off the bat, you're not like most slimes these days. You have a big metal shell part. Why don't you tell us a bit more about that?
Well, for some people, keeping a form is rather difficult. For some, it seems to come more second nature, witnessing, making me a little bit jealous there. But for me, it's not quite that easy. No matter how much I train, I wouldn't have the strength to fully sprout legs and walk about. The most I could probably do is a few tendrils or an arm.
So it's sort of like the slime equivalent of a wheelchair?
I suppose, in a sense, you could regale it to be that.
It's very
I consider it
interesting.
more of a mech suit.
How did you come to get something like this? It's very interesting.
Very high tech.
Oh, well, I talked about my status before. Before I got into Zephyra as full, I was, in the sewers. It was a bit of wasn't a fun time, personally. I had a lot of issues, a lot of problems. I sort of survived day to day just by the skin of my non-existent teeth.
Well, you know, technically speaking, all slimes are just kind of lined with teeth. It's just that they're very soft and gummy, and they're not really like proper fangs made of bone or anything.
Don't have teeth.
Really, if you think about it, all slimes are 100% teeth.
Exactly, and that's how we manage to consume our own food, no problem. You put something in your head, no.
What
Suppose it's
is
a bit of an
acid?
anomaly. You'd be able to, generally speaking, you'd be able to look at any sort of creature and be able to immediately tell.
Shimanase, don't worry. We'll be out of here as soon as we finish up here. I'm one of the worker parts, so I'll close up behind us.
Okay.
Don't you worry about us. I can slip through the door crack.
We've had so many rude interruptions today.
Well, I mean, the Nine Heavens is closing a little early today.
Where was I? I was regaling my brutal past, yes.
Yes, you were regaling
A lot of
us.
survival of the fittest, a lot of, horrible days, doing what I must to survive. Creatures, mutants,
Right.
other scavengers.
Right.
Life down there was a nightmare. Up
Yeah.
until a little fellow by the name of Opticos found me and saw interest in the little sewer creations, sewer machinations I was able to make in my time living in the sewer, learning it like the back of my hand.
You did like mechanical engineering before you had a suit.
I did.
So you must be really
Pots,
smart.
pans, cans, wires, etc., etc. Vague booby traps, little safe houses here and there. That's all I could muster given the limited options I had at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But he saw through the rough exterior, the plethora of mental issues as living in the sewers as a formless glob would give you, and saw through generally everything. And started
Generally
offering me a
speaking,
position in Opticos Industries.
I would find a sewer to be a difficult place to live. I mean, sure, you've got lots of food and stuff, but like also it probably doesn't taste that good.
Yeah.
Yes, your food isn't very nutritious, however, for my specific condition, I suppose it wasn't the worst place I could be. Anywhere in industrial would be 10 times worse, I believe.
So are you native here to Lower Zephyra, or did you come from elsewhere?
Native to Lower Zephyra.
Ah, so you're a local.
It's always nice.
Yes,
to
I
meet
haven't
more.
been local for a few years. I've been off doing some work for Opticos, and I've just gotten back within the last few weeks or so. So I'm stretching my legs and meeting as many people as possible.
Mm-hmm.
How's that
Which
going?
has inadvertently led me here. And I've met lots of people. I've got some new work already for me. There's so many interesting things that have happened here in the last 3 years that I missed.
And of course, now that you're here, you can officially join Slimewave, which is the cool slime gang for slimes and slime-based accessories.
Precisely.
Honestly, we've been trying really hard to do our outreach to more slimes, so it's very good to hear that word of mouth is spreading.
It's always
Mainly
fantastic
through
having
word
more.
of mouth of your own, unfortunately, but word of mouth is word of mouth.
So, your suit, you said it provides you some structural integrity. Does it do anything else? You have like laser beams hidden there or something?
Well, the suit itself is very, very insulated. I'm able to regulate the temperature, the moisture, etc., etc. It's like a little frog's enclosure in here. It's all to make me comfortable.
I wish I had a comfortable spot, but all I have is a jar.
I
Oh, you
have
should upgrade then.
I have a few little extra doohickeys in here, such as this little needle I can poke from my wrist, which
Ooh.
provides me with a little bit of a way to inject something and extract any blood samples or tissue samples.
So, like, is that how you eat stuff? Is you just kind of stab it with like your vampire needle?
No, this is for my job.
What do you do?
Stuff for my thing. I'm the head of research and development for Opticos Industries.
Ah!
Ooh.
So you really climbed the corporate ladder.
To the tippy top without claiming the big CEO's position itself.
Heck yeah!
I'm cut out for.
It's always good to see more slimes in successful job roles. Like I said last podcast, you know, a lot of people view us slimes as sort of just like cannon fodder enemies. So it's always very good to see slimes like you who are sort of high up in society and just giving a good example for everybody else.
Exactly.
Precisely. Lead by example. I am the change I want to see in this world.
What kind of stuff do you develop in your researchings and developments?
I don't develop as much as I do research. I'm more of a grounds on sort of scout.
What do you
I'm
research?
currently looking into a lot of issues. Well, given the nature of this metaverse that I hate that word, but I guess that's the one we're going to use here. Given its anomalous nature, there's a lot of strange things that seep through.
Yeah,
If you were to walk out of here on an unlucky day, you'd be ambushed by time-traveling synthetics from the future called the Vex.
time traveling synthetics.
I apparently seen that there's new entities showing up nowadays, and some of them are kind of dangerous. It's actually kind of surprising how many types of things exist within the metaverse.
We don't need more complicated things showing up here in Lower Zephyra. You remember we had that moss or whatever show up and shut down the heavens for like a 2 or 3 month period.
Yeah. I mean, last time when we did the podcast, I exited out and I was going home, but
Yeah.
there was a fight. And I was like, wow,
Did you win?
crazy. I don't know. It was someone. They punched someone into the canal, and I was like,
Wow! It's wild around
Crazy.
here. I tell you what. So, like, do you have humans work underneath you, or do you stick to a pure slime-based hierarchy in your research as well?
I'm not a racial supremacist.
It's not about racial supremacy, it's about solidarity.
Working specifically under that. I'm not going to question it. You're from out of town.
It's easier to merge with your coworkers and just kind of share your brain with each other sometimes. But like I said, I'm always interested to see people who can work with other species.
I don't merge with the brains of anyone.
Ah, see, there's that cultural difference.
My brain is my own.
See, I mean, yeah, you should try it sometime, though. I mean, brain merging can be a lot of fun. But hey, it's very impressive that you've managed to develop such a smart thinking brain all by yourself. Normally, my people have to eat other slimes or people in order to get their human part brain smart.
Well, when it's this difficult to develop your physical strength, the best you can do is develop your mind and hone it and sharpen it.
Now, when you were first made, were you sort of like a slime that had inbuilt sentience and a core, or did you just sort of like have to develop that yourself?
You know, recollecting when I first sort of sparked a mind is a bit difficult. But I hear you talk, of course, all the time. I know of no such thing.
You don't have a core,
No.
but you're so smart and you have sapience.
Well, I suppose this is where that cultural difference is kicking in. I may be very biologically different to how you operate.
How would you consider yourself?
Is the same.
What kind of slime would you consider yourself, I wonder?
I wouldn't have a classification for this.
So, like, do you still consider yourself a slime, or do you use a different species, like Junarian or something like that?
Well, why do you think I'm on Slimewave, darling?
Well, because we share the same sort of phenotypes. You have a phytoplasm, and generally speaking, you lack bones.
I mean, that's true, but I'd consider myself a slime.
That's true. It's very interesting to see how sort of the definition of slime varies from place to place. There's a lot of commonalities in things, but generally speaking, you know, a lower Zephyrus slime like this is a little more technologically advanced.
Yeah.
Are you more advanced, do you think, because of the local environment forcing you to develop your mind over your body? Or are you more advanced because you wanted to be smart?
If I were in a bog and all I needed to think about was eating an alligator, or getting some bugs for dinner, and absorbing some swampy mush, I don't think I'd be thinking of these complex things, nor would I be building contraptions.
So tell us something recently that you researched that's very interesting. I'm sure you've got all kinds of exciting projects you'd want to tell the lovely slimelings waiting here at home.
What is the most recent? Would that be the most recent? Or would it be before that?
Did you develop like a laser cannon or like a big robot suit?
Anything yet? That needs a lot more work to start developing. You need to know you're in. You need to know what you're researching 110% thorough and down to the bone before you make anything with your findings.
You became head of research, but you haven't researched or developed anything yet?
No, I've developed and researched many things. It's just I've been away for 3 years. So
Wow, you were on hiatus.
I've been away, still working for 3 years, but off Saphira, I've been handling a lot of other, more important tasks.
I see.
Now I can get my nose stuck right back into work, which is what I'm doing with this current Vex situation.
What would you say you're most proud of?
In general,
Yeah, well, like what project would you say that you're most proud of accomplishing?
well, I figured out how certain enemies tick. I figured out how to develop some. Generally speaking, I'm more of a find out and research and note everything down sort of person. I research far more than I develop. I poke things with sticks, I prod them, I press them, I figure out how they work. And once I've figured out everything, I maybe throw in an idea or two, and I package everything neatly down to engineering.
Hypotheses and theories and all that.
Yes, which I usually do work side by side with engineering to develop some things on occasion. Oculi is very, very busy, but it's so fun when I get to work with them.
Do you have a preferred sort of like school of thought that you like to stick to? Like some people are like big into like civic engineering or bridges, or some people love chemical engineering, or some people love like biotechnica stuff or cybernetics, that kind of stuff.
I suppose if you're talking about my favorite little thing to do field research on, recent it has to be genetics.
Ooh. What? Are you doing anything
I
exciting?
have a background of living in the sewers. I know a mutant when I see one, and I know our genetics are fried. So
What's
it's
your favorite part
interesting.
of genetics you like doing?
Deducing what makes a creature tick. Though that's the easiest and surface level thing you can do. For example, you remember that little tete-a-tete we were having about teeth? If you want to know what a creature is, how it eats, how it bites, all you have to do is look at its jaw or teeth. Now, the way a creature's jaw is formed and functions will tell you how it bites into something. And the teeth will generally tell you what it bites into. Molars, incisors, canines, etc. If there's something with a row of razor-sharp teeth and a small little jaw, it's probably built biologically to just bite small chunks off of things. If it's got nothing but molars and incisors, well, it's probably a grazing animal.
That's really
And if
smart.
its teeth are all... There's a type of eel that I adore, the moray eel. There's many subspecies of them. Specifically in shorelines of certain continents, you can find moray eels specifically engineered to eat crabs.
I heard that you can meet them when the moon meets your eye, like a big pizza pie.
That's a moray.
But then
Generally
again,
speaking, with these crab-eating moray eels, you can tell they eat crabs by the fact that all of their teeth are blunt and rounded. Not too dissimilar to molars. This is because they wouldn't need any sharp teeth to pierce the thick hide of a crab. No, they'd need something blunt to crush through it. Ergo, you look at a creature's teeth, it tells you everything you need to know about them.
however, for some reason, some animals' teeth are a little designed differently. Like, you do have some animals that look like you that might eat flesh, but they actually eat plants and all that. How can you tell the difference if it's between herbivore or carnivore or even, between both?
Well, that's when the research comes into place. There are, of course, you look at the platypus, right? There's anomalies for everything. You think you've got something down to science. Look, here's an outlier. I'd say you probably should observe more of its other features. You can look at some animals and distinctualize them based on how they would be. There's a lot of animals that seem sleeker and faster and more nimble. Usually that's specifically for catching prey or predators.
I see.
And then there are more animals that are just as large as you can be, which is a good way to have thick skin and ward off predators. An animal isn't going to waste any time trying to eat or devour something that A, they don't get enough protein and nutrients,
Right.
and B, they expend more energy than they'd gain from eating it. If you can essentially maximize your heft, thick skin, and weight, you might become so undesirable to a predator that they wouldn't want to eat you. Now, if you see something with all of these features, and with misleading teeth, it's probably easy to guess what they are and what they eat.
They do evolve eventually. I mean, there's some animals out there that are evolved and still have parts that they shouldn't anymore.
Yeah.
But can you still figure it out?
Like the
that?
gallbladder.
Yeah. I mean, some humans have
this is
cells
true.
still.
Evolution sometimes isn't as perfect as it should be. However, generally speaking, it's sort of easy to notice these useless features, as it'll be very evident just through observation of an animal if they're actually using a stumpy tailbone or not. With the gallbladder, usually you don't find out about this little evolutionary dead end until you dissect the animal.
Interesting. You sound very
That's true.
passionate about your job, Mr. Rubicon. What would you say is the most challenging part of your work?
sometimes you work at something and you research certain things and you either don't have enough of it or you're running into dead ends constantly.
Would you say that your work is more difficult because you're a slime, or would you say that it's easier?
I'd actually say it's easier.
How so?
Well, if I ever needed to multitask, hold multiple tools at once, very carefully wrap myself around something and adjust it, I have the makeup to do so.
I see. So there are moments whenever you don't necessarily use the suit for your day-to-day living.
There are. I don't use it for sleeping. And sometimes in the morning I don't get into the suit first thing.
I see. Someday I'd love to
Someday,
see what's
yeah.
underneath all that suit.
And sometimes you take off the suit to get a little bit more personal and intimate.
Wow, fascinating. It's very interesting that despite the fact that you lived in an obviously sort of greenish sort of sewer environment, you became a blue slime.
I'd consider myself more purpley blue, with a little mix in between violet, perhaps.
They do look more purple, yeah.
Kind of like a dark purplish with like a blue sort of center of it. It's very interesting that you have this sort of, yeah, it's very interesting that like you have such a dramatic centerpiece right here.
I mean, having a nice little peeper helps look at things. And when your job is to look into things, I think it's nice to prioritize the size of my eye.
Well, a lot of slimes would operate on other senses, like taste or vibration senses, or sort of passive things. Like the eyes that I see technically don't work. They're just kind of like funny marbles. Like I can just pop it out, and it's just kind of a funny.
Ooh, glass eye.
No, it's not a glass eye, it's slime.
No, I'm afraid I was making it. Never mind.
But it's interesting. It's very interesting. Have you ever considered going like and moving off-world, or do you stay here in Lower Zephyra?
I stay here. I've sometimes been off-world for projects and assignments, and if there's something oh so interesting off-world, well, I guess I'll take a little bit of a business trip to go see it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it can be helped, I'd rather have my feet firmly planted on the ground here. Besides, with the nature of this world we inhabit, the strange things often come to us first. It makes my job a hell of a lot easier.
I see, I see.
It's always interesting to have something come towards you.
Do you
So
live here in like the mega building, or do you live up in sort of Upper Zephyra with all the other execs and things like that?
Well, at the moment, Opticus Industries, as it would happen, occupies a floor up top in the mega building. And
Ooh.
given that I haven't been to my home in about 3 or so years, I came to the realization that all of the disasters that struck beforehand more than likely took it off the market. So
You
my
miss home?
hold up. Well, I did have a few nice things in my apartment, but it was replaceable. It's a building. Anyway, I'll be looking into the housing market soon. I'm also deadly interested in the more down below properties underneath the water. I'd get a
Ooh.
stellar view outside a window for that.
I'm sure you would. Well, you gotta be careful with those kinds of things, because if you get a place that's like maybe in the garbage stream, the only view you would get would be used condoms and trash bags.
Well, that's why I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is and search for a nice humble abode down there. I have more than the money to do so.
We're working on getting more corporate sponsors, and once we get enough, we plan on getting a property for Slimewave Industries, sort of our big corporate headquarters for all of our recording projects and so on. You're very welcome to come base there once we have it.
I see what you're doing.
We would love to have a very brilliant and very smart slime on the team.
I'll consider the sponsorship. I'll have to run things with the boss of mine.
Understandable. Honestly, we're starting to approach the end of our time already. It really is incredible how fast time goes. What kind of stuff are you looking forward to in the future?
But I'm looking forward to catching up on all of the interesting things and developments I've missed. Another thing I'm interested in, getting to the bottom of all the anomalous things going on right now. There are some issues with mutants over here, some things with vets over there, and then countless other little anomalies I've yet to find. Some rocks I haven't lifted up yet.
Are you familiar at all with like the what was it? It was like a weird moss thing or whatever that affected the center square down here. Valentine, what was it called? It was like the rot or something like that.
The wag. I think it was the wag.
I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
It was like a weird like sentient moss or something that could imitate people and make them really mean.
Wasn't it the mole?
I think it was like the mold, or I don't remember what it's called. I'll have to ask Miss Cash. She's really smart about these things.
Of this, mold would make the most sense. Saphira is very damp, dark, and decrepit.
There was like a type of mole that had to close down this place for a bit because of contamination.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it was the mole.
I see. Well, there's a new pet project for me to look into.
There sure is. We're very excited to see what you develop next, Mr. Rubicon. I'm sure you've got all sorts of exciting new inventions and stuff coming up on the back end. When you do have them.
Thread like this, it's usually what makes it tick. Once you find that out, you develop countermeasures for it if there's a mold going about. Fire wouldn't be advisable, because God knows what's flammable down here.
Everything.
And also the pollution it would cause without proper ventilation could lead to harm. Ingesting the fiery mold might just worsen things for everyone involved. So perhaps antibacterial.
I don't know. All I know is Miss Cass said it's safe to come down here again, so I don't know what they did. But it could be a fun pet project for you. But if you do wind up inventing something very interesting, give us a call. We'd love to feature it here on the show. You know, we do this in sort of a simultaneous thing. We do an audio portion for people who just want to sit here and like relax and listen to us as we talk and stuff. But we also do a small video broadcast as well.
I'll be in touch if it happens.
Is there anything you'd be very interested in promoting while you're here on the show?
I think I would, yes.
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, I haven't anything to promote at the moment because I haven't been back for long. But I can just advise the humble young sports at home with a nice little fat wallet to go on down to Obligos Industries for all of your synthetic needs. Truly the best in the business.
It sounds exciting. I might have to go there, especially since you said you've got synthetics that work with slimes. I've always thought about putting metal parts on myself, but, you know, like I said, it kind of just slips out of me because I'm liquid.
Well, that's why I have a suit that I'm sort of plopped right into.
Really, it's just like a fancy jar that's shaped like a person.
That's precisely it.
I should get one of those. I think that'd be fun for a little while. Hey, thank you so much to the Nine Heavens for serving as our host. It seems like they've closed down early today, so I can't give you the usual recommendation to come check it out. Thank you so much to Lower Zephyra, and thank you to Miss Aurora and her lovely company for being our sort of corporate sponsor for today. Thank you so much to my co-host, Mr. Valentine. Thank you so much to our wonderful guest, Mr. Rubicon. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. You are very welcome to come back anytime. Do we have anything we'd like to announce or promote before we sort of close out on things? Slimewave is currently looking for more slimes to interview, so if you happen to be a metaversal slime or ooze adjacent individual, by all means, reach out to our personal communications. You can find it anywhere you have a computer parts. It's not that hard. We would love to have you on the show, so please, by all means, give us a call. If you know a friend who might be interested in these sorts of things, let us know as well. We're working very hard to expand our programming. We might do like a restaurant review next time.
So what, am I a part of the gang now?
If you want to be.
I'd love nothing more.
Heck yeah! Welcome to the gang, Rubicon.
Yeah, welcome.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen.
We can take a photo for the occasion.
At the door.
There we go. That's all I have for today. Do we want to say anything? We still don't have like a closing outro catchphrase or whatever. We've got a cool intro catchphrase, but like, I don't know. If you had to think of a cool catchphrase for Opticon Industries, what would you say?
Well, we have a few already. You just have to go on the website to find them. Actually, there's probably a few posters outside.
Ooh, I wish I could read.
I can read for you.
Smarty pants. I'll take you up on it. Until then, folks, thank you so much for joining us. And, oh gosh, we still don't have an outro. So it's just kind of gotta be like an awkward cutoff. Sounds like a.
Sadly.
You know what? I'll pay you money to research your closing catchphrase for us. How about that?
Understood.
Heck yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good one.
Farewell.